right, welcome to another edition of RSG. We're here live. I got another great week. We're gonna hit a few things with you. I got my man Darnell Kirkland Jr. in the house with me, man. How you feeling, brother? I know we battling some stuff. How you feeling?
Hey, I'm feeling great. Second day of camp. Um, yeah, things going well. Everything is it's really excited. Kids just got out of school on Tuesday. That was their last day. We've been in camp ever since then. So yeah, it's always fun for football season. You know, to come back. I'm moving into a new role as varsity offensive line coach. So with that becomes a few new challenges, but taking it all in stride and
All right.
really having fun with it.
That's right. 'Cause you leading that line group. Get that
Yep.
you get your toe in the water on that. So okay, it's your room. They're trying to give you the keys to the car. You got to be able to do something with it. That's fun, man. It's always good working with young folks, man. Seeing them get to the next level. We definitely gonna have a chance to talk about that as it relates to the NBA Finals and watching people grow and realize their potential. And so that's gonna be a fun thing. We have a nice show set up. And for those who first time, my name is Devon Wilson. I'm the co-host here as well, so you can catch us on realsportsguys.com. Some of you might have been trying to get to our website. We try to update it, but it's live right now. We'll be rolling out some new content, working with some folks. But just catch us up, Real Sports Guys, on all social media content as well. And you can catch, again, Darnell online, and you can get out there. But when you come strong, because we'll let you know. But the format, we're gonna get into the open mic, and see what's out here. We got a lot going on in open mic, but the fight game. The take back is there. Teofimo Lopez, did his thing, on Saturday night against Josh Taylor, who's considered one of the elite fighters in the world. So, uh, that thought this might be a little bit overhead, and I was one of the few, going back and forth saying, I think this young man got something. I've always been a fan of him, but there's no, it's not, it's really well known that he's got a lot of struggles outside the fight game in his life, and sometimes it's about whether or not he's focused. And there were some moments leading up to the fight that might lead you to believe that he got too much going on to be focused on this fight, and that going to get somebody elite like Josh would be difficult. But I sent the text message. I thought he was going to take him out. I just had a feeling it might be some easy work, and it was easy work. I mean, I heard Sean Porter on his podcast say, by the third round, they already trying to figure out who Teofimo is going to fight next. I was like, wow, they seeing what I'm seeing. But I got the fight man over here. I got the youngin, Darnell Kirkland Jr. He's our voice in the fight game. He watches stuff through and through. He studies. He's a student of the game. Talk to me about the fight, man. I think you and I are both. I want to say this one thing, because I think you had a 115, 113. I had 115,
Yep.
113. People kind of reacted to people who had a 115, 113. Uh,
Well,
Talk a little
there.
bit about the score.
Before I get into that, you have to realize that there are different experiences when you're watching a fight.
Yeah,
Being at the fight is a different experience than watching it on TV,
yeah,
and also watching on TV with sound is different than watching the fight on TV without sound. Personally, I didn't watch I didn't listen to the commentary this time around. Last time I watched Top Rank with Handy versus Lomachenko. I did watch it with sound, and so I don't know exactly what was said.
mm,
And you know how things, how Top Rank is.
yeah.
They tend to exaggerate a little bit when it comes to their house fighting. They tend to exaggerate a little bit. So when I'm watching a fight, I had it 15-13. You had it 15-13.
Yeah,
Two
yeah,
judges had it 15-13. I
yeah.
look on Twitter, people 10-2, 9-3. I'm like, what? I'm like, hey, what fight are you guys watching? But yeah,
Wow.
Teofimo Lopez, he definitely, Max Kellerman calls it the story of the fight. But Teofimo Lopez definitely won the story of the fight. At the beginning of the fight, um, Josh Taylor showed that he was strong on the inside, and and in the fight, the referee really wasn't letting them work a whole lot in the inside. And when it got in the inside, when they started clinching, he was quick to break them up. And Josh Taylor had no answers from that point. He had no, and it's not an excuse because in a fighting game, you got to have adjustments. You got to be able to, if you can't, if Plan A is not working, you got to go to Plan B. Plan B is not working, you got to go to Plan C. And Josh Taylor was unable to adjust in that on fight night because he was entirely too slow. His feet were too slow, hands were too slow. Couldn't keep up with Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez showed great head movement. And this is something that his father said before the fight. His father said before the fight. Actually, Bill Haney said it before the fight. Bill Haney said it before Teofimo Sr. said it. Bill Haney said, I think the only way that Teofimo can beat Josh Taylor if he goes back to the old Gordo. Or if you don't know, Gordo is that was Teofimo's nickname when he was growing up in the amateurs as a young kid. He said if he goes and fights like he did as a young kid, because Teofimo used to be like a boxer puncher, a mover, kind of like a Keith Thurman, kind of like that type of style. But now, his dad over the last couple of fights, he just want him to go in there and knock people out because he's fighting guys that are lesser competition. Like
Mm-hmm.
Sandor Martin is not on his level. George Cambosa is not on his level. So Teofimo Senior's in there like, man, it's the fourth round, it's the fifth round. What's this dude still being here with you? He can't mess with you. Go in here and knock him out. That's not really Teofimo's style. Teofimo has knockout power, but he's at his best when he lets it come. And I think that's what showed today, last week in that Josh Taylor fight. He was able to let the game come to him. He showed great head movement. His athleticism was on display. Great hand speed. He's a quick, explosive guy, and that was the real difference in the fight. And another thing with Josh Taylor showed bad body language because you notice when Teofimo started dancing, the first time he started dancing,
Yeah.
and showboating around. I was watching the fight. Of course, like I said, I wasn't watching it with sound. He was dancing and stuff, but he wasn't landing anything. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
he's not landing no punches. But you see, have you ever been to where you used to hoop at Hunt Park, whatever kind of park in Ann Arbor, whatever. You playing basketball, and all of a sudden this inebriated fellow. I'm not gonna say, somebody that's on is not wrapped too tight. Hops on the court. He's saying whatever. What's your first instinct? You back up. You're like, wait a minute, what's this cat doing? Josh Taylor had that look on his face. Teofimo went up there doing all this kind of stuff, and then Josh Taylor backs up, and from that moment on, the fight was over. The fight was over from that point on because Teofimo was like, "Oh, this guy's scared of me."
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
and from that point, the ball kept rolling over and over and over again, and Josh Taylor could never get back in the fight.
Yep. Yep. And Josh Taylor is so left hand dominant. And when you fight against at least he presented himself in that fight. When you do that, and when somebody like Teofimo is rolling, you in trouble. Because if you're a one trick pony against him, he really gonna make you look bad.
There's a reason
And
for that. There's a reason for that. He didn't want to get countered. So
yeah,
it's an open stance matchup. What an open stance matchup means is an open stance is when a southpaw fighter goes against an orthodox fighter. They're in the battle for dominance. A closed stance matchup is when they're both southpaws or they're both orthodox fighters. But since Teofimo is lightning quick with that left hook, sometimes he'll be throwing it when he's way out of range. But he's
yeah,
doing that just to keep it on your head. Hey, it's waiting on you if you come in here. So Josh Taylor, he's in there thinking he was like, man, if I lead with my right hand, what happens if your right hand is extended?
yeah,
The temple's exposed, the chin's exposed. So he doesn't want to leave himself open. So since he doesn't want to leave himself open, now he's leading with his left hand instead, so he can hold the phone.
mm.
And that's what made him not one direction, one dimensional.
Yeah. That was like I'm glad you made that point out because it was like it was so much control on that. And I mean, I you know I love fighters like Teofimo when they're entertaining, when they're in their mix. I mean, it's crowd pleasing. But then he talks about he retiring, 25 years old. Porter and some of these guys, like, he's a Hall of Famer now. Here at 25. Um, I think it's more about the money. So I'm just gonna say he's got to deal with his personal life. Whatever he says, I'm not believing. So I'm talking to you. You're the manager with him. How are you setting his moves up? Because he's the kind of fighter who's got to fight big fights. He got to stay focused. He seems to be focused when it means a lot. You can't give him something that don't mean anything from here on out in his career, at least for the foreseeable future. So it's got to be a fight that's going to maintain his attention and keep him focused. Where do you think he should go?
Tank Davis. The Tank Davis fight is a fight that makes a lot of
Mm.
sense. Floyd
Ooh.
Mayweather mentioned last year. If there's a fight that because somebody asked him, "What is the fight you want for Tank Davis? What is the fight you want to see out of Devin Haney? What is the fight you want to see from Shakur?" He said, "For Tank, I want to see him fight Teofimo Lopez." That was the first name he said. And if you know anything about the Mayweather blueprint or what how they do things over there is, they gonna look for them Hispanic names.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he might not fight Shakur Stevenson. Tank might not fight Devin Haney, but you see that Lopez, Floyd might make the fight.
Mm. I
And
don't know.
it's not no easy fight. I'm
And
just
it's not
saying
no
like that.
easy fight.
They
And
have a
I
very
love
similar.
Davis. I love both of them. This one hurt
They
me.
have a
I'll be
very
watching.
similar style. Very
Yeah,
similar style.
man, this one
I
hurt
think
me because I love them both.
I think Tank has a better inside game,
Yeah.
and Teofimo Lopez is taller, so he might be better on the outside. But you got to see.
Wow. And if they on their technical game, boy, woo, that one will be one to see. I would love it. That would hurt me. I wouldn't know where to go because I like both of them because they both got their flaws and they fighting back. They fighting up against it. They both up against the critics, keep proving them wrong. So I like both of them. I hate to see them have to fight because I wouldn't know which way to go with it. But that's a night fight. But he would have to go because Tank is at 135. So he'd have to. You think Tank come up to 140?
Uh, I think so. I don't
And
know. I
I
don't
mean,
know.
is the pro grades fight a good fight?
For Tio,
Yeah,
yeah, he beat. I think he beat Program pretty easily.
and you right. ESPN on something. They got your boy Catterall as the number one person in this division.
Well, you know why? Oh, number one
Number
or
one, man,
under Lopez or what?
over Lopez, even after the fight.
Well, Catterall beat Josh Taylor. I don't know what everybody's saying, but he beat Josh Taylor. They just ain't give him the. And that's the reason why Josh Taylor's wasn't undisputed. That's the reason why Teofimo Lopez is not undefeated right now. Josh Taylor didn't want to make that rematch happen, and to let the smoke to let the smoke clear, to let everything die down. He sat in the sidelines, and his mandatories ended up coming, and he got stripped of two titles. I think he got stripped of three.
Yeah,
But I think Tio only has a WBO right now,
yep,
so
yep, yep.
he got stripped of all them titles because he didn't. He wasn't going to come back and fight him.
Mm,
So
right.
Catterall, I think he's a worthy opponent, but number one, I wouldn't say all that.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. That's where you lose your credibility. We got to do some drug testing over there at ESPN right now with that one being the ranking after what we saw. So we gonna he's got straight out his personal life energy, but man, I was happy for the young man to see him have that success. You could tell his back. He felt how relieved he was, given everything he's been up against personally. But the fight game is good when he's in it, just because of all the other stuff he bringing to it. And I'm just glad to have him back. So we'll keep tracking. We'll keep tracking him and
And he's
hearing
not
more about him.
retired. He's not
Huh?
retired. That's
He's
Tyson
not
Fury. He's
retired.
not
Yeah.
retired.
He
He's
just
doing
he
the
just don't
Tyson
want to get.
Fury thing. Tyson Fury retires every 6 months.
Yeah, and he just want to make sure Bob Aaron know he ain't fighting for $1 million. He fighting for some real money right now. So he's like, we ain't trying to just take no. He
Hey,
trying to
you
get
say
paid.
he's saying that, but there's a reason why you fighting in the small room at Madison Square.
Yeah,
You're not outselling Clarissa Shields. You got to be real.
yeah, and part of that is he got to get on his marketing game, and he can be that. I mean, he's a superstar, but he's been distracted with too many other things, and he got to start getting out there driving his brand, and that's because he could have, and he's got to get positioned on the right weekends, right? He's got to come out and get those right weekends where you're gonna get that energy and get that. So he's got to regain that stuff. He has the ability, but that means he's got to get his personal life focused so he can be part of that marketing and getting out, being out in those spaces, keeping his face out there in the media. He's got to be in that space, and that's part of it. But he's certainly got that personality. I mean, he had the Heisman weekend locked down, and so he had that whole thing going. He just lost momentum. And I think he's got to try to get that piece back in order. But you're right, you got to build it up, and part of that's also having the right management around you to get it done. It ain't just his thing. You got to have the right people around you helping to get it done. So we gonna check to see how it goes, man. I love this kid. Um, you know, warts and everything. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So we are the champions. Joker. Joker's wild. I mean, Denver put it on him. Man, what were your thoughts, man? Joker records, Jamal, um, Michael Malone could be irritating, but I'm with him on it, man. You know, but they put it together, man. They did what they did. They dismantled, Miami, and you know, everybody in Jokic's family was there celebrating, and they got it done. And Denver finally got a championship in the ABA and the NBA. They finally got one in the city. What were your thoughts about that? Where do you place Joker in terms of, his ranking, where he's ascended to?
Man, you asking like three different questions, but
Hey, I put
as
it all
far as
out
the
there.
Denver,
Yeah.
as far as the Denver question, they are who we thought they were. They are who I thought they were. I said going into the series that in order for Miami to win this series, they got to fast and pray. These things only come by prayer and fasting. Um, Denver's way too big. They're way too big, and they show that they're a great defensive team. They play defense on the string. They play as 5 as 1, and they have the right pieces to hide the deficiencies of Nikola Jokic on that side of the ball, while also kind of extenuating his strengths. Because even though Jokic is not necessarily he's not a great rim protector. Everybody knows that. But what he does have, he has good anticipation. He has good hands. He can kind of disrupt things in the passing lanes with his hands and his mind. So they bring him out a lot at the top to try to get his hands in there, deflect balls, and that way he doesn't have to protect the rim. And on top of that, and the reason that works is you have Aaron Gordon, 6'8", 6'9", 240. You know what I'm saying? Small forward, you have Michael Porter Jr., 6'10". So when he slots over, he steps down. You still have a 6'10" body on the block, ready to contest a shot. So they have size all the way down their roster. From the point guard, Jamal Murray is 6'5". Caldwell Pope is 6'6". Michael Porter Jr. is 6'10". Aaron Gordon 6'9". Jokic 6'11". You know what I'm saying? They have size all the way down the court. So they do that. They play unselfish basketball. Especially with Jokic, one of the greatest passers we've ever seen. Um, his passing opens up his scoring. He might have some of the best touch that we've seen as well out of a big man. He has great touch, especially in that kind of floater range, with the little touch shots and stuff. It seems like they always hit the rim, but they always end up falling in. So Jokic is great with that. Where do I place him all time? I think as an all time player, he's around 20, probably around the 20s. So I'll probably say around that Moses Malone, Kevin Garnett range. I'll put him right over there. But as far as seeing what this does to his legacy, it's great to see because he's a guy who has a great resume already. 2-time MVP, one of the greatest passers ever. has wonderful personal individual statistics, and adding this championship just gives them more validation. It puts the stamp where you can't really say, can you win with Jokic as a center? Because if I remember back in the day, not back in the day, 2014, 2015, Charles Barkley used to say it every year he used to say it every year on TNT. A jump shooting team will never win a championship. And then the Warriors won a championship. He used to always pick against them. But this time Denver broke through. And I think that's the main sticking point from this playoffs.
Yeah, and and I think in part, at least in the finals, defense was amplified by you know the lack of firepower by Miami in their backcourt. Um, and it seemed like Jimmy just ran out of gas. But I do, it's funny how people talk about defense because good defense is position defense. Everybody ties into athleticism so much, but great defenders can. Part of being you can be a great defender if you understand the game plan and know how to execute it. I mean, that to me, in some ways, that's a more consistent effort around defense, and you don't always have to be overly athletic if you understand positioning and you understand what you're trying to get done. And I think Jokic understands that. He alters shots, he rebounds, he's gotten better at rotating. Part of that I think is because it's conditioning, his ability to have a sustained effort. I think some of the struggles he had early in his career was he couldn't sustain effort. He wasn't in the type of shape down the stretch where you needed him to be part of it. But he's doing enough to alter. But he also understands defensive concepts and where people are. In addition to everything that you said about having some of the guys around him, Michael Malone is believing the next step he wants to have as a dynasty. I'm not sure about that. But it could be. I think they got everything they need to beat. I think they benefited. We'll see what some of these teams do in the West. I think their dynasty is all about Jamal. I think in this Jamal is someone. I mean, Jokic had a record-setting run, but Jamal Murray, man, I've always loved him, and you know, uh, he's a flat-out superstar in my mind. I mean, he's big game. He shows up, shows out. And that tandem is going to be good. How they are able to hold them together. I've been listening to a lot about around the new the collective bargaining agreement and how it's difficult, particularly for that third and fourth salary. And so it's going to be interesting to see how they manage, particularly the Michael Porter Jr. salary moving forward. He's going to have to go to the next level next year. Michael Porter Jr. I think he's going to have to be more consistent in his play as they move forward. But I think they got all the pieces to be. I mean, they got the salaries look good for the next year. They're gonna be a tough out. And part of it's Jokic is just like that magician, that Murray handoff action. Them two right there, they didn't do Dave Stockton and Malone with a little bit more pizzazz. And it's they got that going and they got the other pieces. So I love it. The uh, is another interesting part of it because the Heat is on. They made a run. They've been in the finals, two of the last 4 years. I don't know how they do it down there in Miami. Um, Jimmy is J- Jimmy's struggle, and I was thinking about this as we prepare for the show. Is his I'm not call it unselfishness, but the way he plays and his commitment to trust and also the injury he's dealing with is something, but his inability to sometimes be greedy are those moments. There were times he was coming off screens. I mean, the pull up was there, wide open. He wasn't gonna pull it. He would kick it, and it's almost like they need. I don't know if they need another star, but they need. And I don't know if Tyler Hero is that guy. They need a guy who's an aggressive scorer, but who also has that competitive instinct on offense. It doesn't have to be Dame. Everybody's talking about Dame. It could be a Van Fleet. It could be somebody like that who understands how to play, but can be there for them moments and can get them what I call them Chauncey Billups moments, some big moments. He does need that third. They need that third guy. I don't know if that third guy actually has to be a star, but it would be a younger version of Kyle Lowry. If I had to look at it, like they need that guy who's not afraid to do it on those nights when Jimmy just wants to be the team guy, right? And it's nothing against Jimmy. That's just how he's been raised. He ain't got that one selfish instinct that you need in some of those moments, and that they need that guy that when it's Jimmy being Jimmy, a younger a 31-year-old Kyle Lowry would have known it was my time. You know what I'm saying? But they got a 37-year-old Kyle Lowry who still kind of gave you a little something, but he only give you a 37-year-old version. They had like a 31-year-old Kyle Lowry. That would have been a good mix. So I think that's what the Heat is, but the rest of them folks gonna be reloaded. I just don't know if the Heat got enough to get back into it. Um, but every time you doubt them, they show up, and so they gave it ever. But like you said, they needed you just say fasting and prayer. They needed all that. You could see it. It was one of them things. It was almost like they looked like your boy Josh Taylor. You just knew it was over early. They just was gonna give you a couple punches to make it look good, but you knew it was gonna be. I don't know if it was even Josh Taylor because it was probably a 17-10 the way this was going. So your prediction was right on. It was just a matter of time that this one was going to go down. But I don't know what Miami can. I don't think. I was listening to. I don't think they have enough assets to get a Dame, but they got to get somebody else who competes on defense, but offensively is a much more consistent score from the point guard backcourt space. I think Bam is doing everything he needs to do. If they can add one more piece like that, I think Miami would be straight. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yep, but also I disagree about the Jimmy Butler point. I think Jimmy Butler, um, Draymond once spoke about when you're talking trash. Sometimes you need to know who to talk to and who not to. I think Jimmy Butler was always going to struggle with Aaron Gordon. He was always going to struggle with this matchup because if you look at, because I said this in our preview, I said I didn't think Jimmy Butler
But
was going to get
but
off
but
of this
but,
matchup
but you, you don't worry
because
about.
if you look
I
at the way
understand
that
Eric
Jimmy
Gordon,
Butler
but you
scores,
can get that
if
on
you look at
exchanges. You don't have to
no,
end up on Eric Gordon.
there's no, I'm saying
Yeah,
there's specific matchup type things that I'm pointing to is because if you look at the way Jimmy Butler scores, he's a physical power player. He's more of like he's he's not Kawhi Leonard, but he has that style of I'm a bigger wing. I want to bump you and then go up for my shot. You know what I'm saying? He likes to use his size. That's why he was able to have that great performance against a Drew Holiday because Drew Holiday's he's used to being a physical guard, but at the end of the day, Holiday 6'4", Butler 6'7". He can shoot over the top. But when he tries, he can't do that to Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon's too big, too strong, and he's positionally sound. So he tries to bump Aaron Gordon. Gordon's right there. And when he gets blocked by Aaron Gordon a couple of times, now when he turns the corner, he's looking, he's turned his shoulder. Is he there? Is he there? And then sometimes he tried to bump Aaron Gordon, he's still there. And then Michael Porter Jr. comes from behind and blocks it. So that size and the length bothered him. He wasn't able to
but the thing
overpower them.
about it is he had aside from that he had at least 7 attempts going down in that game just coming off the screen, coming at the free throw line open where Aaron Gordon wasn't even in action. And he didn't even shoot it. So that's aggressiveness. And
Yep.
throughout the playoffs, he had matchups where he created the switches. Like people were doing that all the time. So you can get the matchup you want. Get your LeBron game on. Get the matchup you want. So I just don't think he was that aggressive. And when he did turn the corner, like he was open at the free throw line with drop coverage and wouldn't even shoot. Aaron Gordon wasn't even there. It was like I understand when he went
But
baseline.
that's
None of
the
his
that's
things,
the that's the mental game though. That's the mental game. Once you
but but
when you start
that piece
feeling
right
them, you
there.
start feeling them.
Yeah, but that you got it. But that's the difference with being a star. You don't care. You just pull it up. And the other thing, and this is the part I think you make a really good point on. I watched this. The piece he got to add to his game is the floater, because part of that is you can create the action and get the floating if you have. He's a 2 foot jumper when he gets. Part of it is he gets there to try to draw the contact. He got to work on his float game. because the way you can get that, you get an early shot on the move on your float game. He doesn't use that enough. By now, he should have that in his arsenal. His float game is not there. But look at the number of times he coming off the screen with Jokic to drop coverage. He don't even pull up and shoot. He looks to kick it with nobody on him. That's the stuff you. I understand going baseline when Aaron, you ain't gonna get over him, and then you got to go underneath and he kicks and gets it to it. That one's cool, but he had many other opportunities where he created the switch or he came off the pick and roll was right at the free throw line. He didn't even shoot. I'm like, come on, man, come on. But that's why I say they got to have somebody else because
Right.
you gonna beat that kind of size. I mean, they got guys like that all over the East. So they're gonna have to have somebody else coming in. But you're right. Aaron Gordon, he put everybody in the strap. He strapped them
No,
up.
they don't have that on everywhere in the East. I don't think so. Who else is like Aaron Gordon? Scotty Barnes,
But
maybe.
your guys on Boston got size.
Not like that. They
Yeah, but
do,
they
but
got
not like
size to
that.
bother them. They got size to bother them. They got size to bother them if they take the assignment. I mean, Aaron Gordon is good, but let's not make him now he robbing.
Stu, did you watch the Phoenix series?
I watched
You
him,
see what he
but
was doing with Kevin Durant?
I
Kevin Durant
watched him,
was
but
missing.
I think part of what you got to do with him is get in his chest. He'll follow you. You got to get in his chest, get in his space. You got to create that action. I think people are giving him too much. You got to get in his chest and get in his space. So when you go, take the blow. They got him in early foul trouble on game 5, didn't they? He had 2 up front. I think, and people will scout that. You know, he did well in the season, but don't think people in all season are looking at how he's playing defense and what they can do against him. Now he might mess around and be defensive player of the year. You know, one of them cats next year. But I
I don't
think he
know about
played
that
well.
because
He had a
when
good run.
people look at defensive player of the year, they're looking at stats for the most part when they vote for defensive player of the year. I think when I look at Aaron Gordon as a defender, I see him more as like a 6'9" Klay Thompson. Like when Klay Thompson was playing defense, he wasn't necessarily jumping, blocking a whole bunch of shots. He wasn't necessarily reaching at everything, getting a whole bunch of steals. He was just positionally sound, show his hands, big chest. I'm right there. I'm gonna give you a solid contest, solid challenge. I think Aaron Gordon does that, except he just has more size and more strength.
But it wasn't like KD didn't get 30.
He went
Well, like
he one or two
they
games.
lost that game. They lost that game because Aiton was in the witness protection program. They lost that series. Aiton was in the
Mhm.
witness protection program. Wasn't like KD didn't get 30.
KD was KD was in witness protection
All right, we'll see this next
for
season.
most of that series.
KD here to chatter now. The first time they see each other, he might hit 40 on him.
He
Just to
can't.
let him
He's too
know.
old.
Huh?
Kevin Durant has reached that point where he's on the other side of his prime,
All
and
right,
you've
now.
seen it. You've seen it this
All
playoffs and last playoffs.
right, all right.
He doesn't handle physicality well.
KD, that's
He
Darnell
doesn't handle
Kirkland
Phil.
Jr. KD, I don't say my stuff about you, but KD, that's Darnell Kirkland Jr.
Jason
Don't just put
Tatum
that on.
last
Just don't just put that on RSG. Let's be
Jason Tatum
specific.
last year, Aaron Gordon this year, same thing.
Okay. All right. You feeling good about yourself right now, aren't you? You feeling good about yourself on that one.
Hey, I trust my eyes. I trust my eyes.
Yeah, you was on that
He's
one.
over the
I was
hill,
watching that series.
and the thing about it is, when you come from such a high peak,
Yeah.
you being on the other side doesn't look like everybody else being on the other side. Just because Kevin Durant's on the other side doesn't mean he's not going to average 25 points a game. Doesn't mean he's not going to shoot almost 50, 40, 90 from the field during the regular season. He's still going to be extremely skilled. It's just when push comes to shove in the playoffs, when they allow more physicality, bigger, stronger guys are going to move him off his spot and force him into tough shots.
Yeah, but that's gonna be if they get more effort out of someone like Aiton or get a big in there. It's a different kind of way you playing Kevin because Kevin gonna use that screen and get off of that. He gonna make you work. But when you got a guy like Aiton that you ain't got to worry about, now you're playing 5-on-4. In some cases, three
Yeah, but
on.
when he was when Kevin was younger, he would blow right by you. He couldn't
Yeah,
play up on him like that.
but
He
he
would blow
still
right
got it.
by you
He
and
not.
dunk it.
He still don't get them. He's still 7 something. He still go. You ain't really bothering him. Even when you him. Even when you Aaron, you ain't bothering him.
No, he
Oh,
was
okay.
bothering him. Go back and
Okay.
watch it. He was
Okay.
bothering him.
Okay. All right. And consider he only played like what 20 something games with his teammates. They're gonna have a full off
Yep.
season. You know, so who could be the next Denver? Meaning, they're an organization that's been searching for the promised land. They haven't really experienced it. Is it Sacramento? Is it Utah figuring it out? Who do you think? Is it Portland figuring it out? Who is that? Is it Memphis? Who's that organization that's people haven't really given that love, have thought about it, but they're trying to put together. Kind of like nobody thought the Golden State would ever do that, even early on, and now Golden State is kind of seen as this championship organization.
So Denver, there is no new Denver. Denver is when I saw in the conference finals, Denver is Denver is Georgia to Golden State's Alabama. I think they're taking the system, they're taking the whole point five system of if you don't have a shot, move the ball, move without the ball, cut. They're taking that whole philosophy and just bringing it up a little bit because obviously they don't have Kevin Durant. They don't have Steph and Kevin Durant is a different kind of deal. But when you have Jokic, it brings a whole different dimension because he's the big that he's getting 14, 15 rebounds a game in the playoffs, and he's pushing the ball up court. And I think he presents a matchup that's uh, going to be tough to deal with. I don't see them. I see
I
them
think
at the top. I see them at the top for the next
yeah,
for the
but I see a
foreseeable future.
healthy Memphis with their bigs and their versatility giving them problems. I mean, Memphis got bigs that got a lot of versatility. You all three of their bigs, they had two of them hurt. They give Denver problems. I see it.
I think a team to look out for is Orlando. When Orlando figures it out, they got.
Yeah.
I think they could be something. Um, Looking at the top of the draft, trying to think. Um,
I
I
think if
think
Sacramento gets them a little
yeah,
bit more help down low to
you're right.
to go on with Sabonis,
They need they need
I
to
think they
go
could.
ahead and cause they trying to put together 2018 Kentucky, 2017 Kentucky. They need to go ahead and trade Sabonis and bring in Bam and just completely be 2018 Kentucky, and they'll be all right. But no, but but yeah, I'm trying to think. Who did I just say? Yeah, Orlando. I think they have two lottery picks this year
Yeah,
to add upon their young talent, so they can make some moves there and really be something to look at moving forward. Houston's another Houston's another interesting thing because now they got an adult in the room. The coach, I think Ime is going to bring that intensity. Because all respect to Steven Silas, but you can watch the games and know they didn't respect that coach. And now, Ime Udoka, he's going to be in there. He's going to instill a culture of competitiveness. You got Jalen Green in there. You got Jabari Smith in. I almost said Jabari Johnson. Jabari Smith is in there. You got a top. I think they have a four pick. They might get an Amen Thompson in there. You never know. I mean, that could be a nucleus. Of course, they got Sengun in there. Sengun in there too, who has a lot of skills. So that could be a young core that can really grow into something. And
but
that's
I hear
another
they talking about
superstar.
having Harden go back. If you bring Harden back in, now you bring
I
LeBron
don't.
back
I
in.
don't know about. I don't know
I
about
don't think they
Harden.
should be doing it, but they saying Harden back to Houston. I'm like, why would Houston want Harden back with that young core? And he's not a Udoka person. Like he ain't putting up with that. But I think that'd be a battle. That would
But the
mess it
thing is,
all
he
up.
could. The thing. You know why they want to bring Harden back is they were so terrible before. They want to add a stabilizing piece to where we're winning some games now. We might not be a championship contender now, but we have we're in a space where now we are winning games. We're playing in games that matter. You know, so that could be helpful to the development of the young guys. But like I said, if you end up with an Amen Thompson in pick four, I, it's time for him to play. Yeah, I don't want him. I don't want to see him sitting on the bench.
Well, those are some good ones to think about. We're gonna close out the season. We got the draft happening next week. We'll be talking about the draft in when we have Hammer back with us next week. We'll be talking about the draft, and we'll see where some of those young cats go, and start picking your brains. I know you've been tracking all these young cats and got some stuff to talk about. So we look forward to having that. We like to end the show. We like to give flowers. In 2023, the fellas, all of us, we trying to put some positivity into the space with all the other stuff we dealing with. So we always try to, close the show and, you know, give some flowers out to some folks. So Darnell, you got anybody you wanna give a shout out to?
Oh shoot. I think you want to go first because I think I
All
thought
right.
I had one. I completely
All
forgot.
right, yeah. So I want to give it. I'll give it out to a personal friend of mine, Cecil Youngblood, who's been on our early shows. Was a good friend of mine. Uh, Coach college basketball, coach also semi-pro women's basketball, but gave his time to work with my niece Nell, who's been on our show. We had a really good session, and just it was great to kind of watch both of them and watch Nell, who was newcomer year in the SWAC, and first team all SWAC, but just the working, watching those two work, it was just a joy to watch both of them, the way they think about the game, the workouts, the stuff to do. And so I just want to thank Cecil for his time and his commitment over the 3-day period, supporting her in the game, and that's the great thing about just having some great friends in your life, that you connect. And I think Nell was just happy to be part of that network and get connected, and it was just good to watch them be in the lab. That's what we call it, the lab. And so you might see some posts coming up here soon from some of those sessions, but I want to give a shout out to my man Cecil Youngblood.
Okay, just remember, Team USA. We just came out of the FIBA America games.
Who they playing?
They
What
won.
they playing?
They
Eighth
won.
graders?
They won the. They won the gold medal round of the FIBA Americans against Canada by 82 points. They won by 82 points. This is ridiculous. I got to take my hat off to them, led by Cameron Boozer, the son of Carlos Boozer. He has a twin on the team. Both going to be some interesting talents coming up. Darren Peterson, Cole Pete, AJ DeBonsa, just to name a few names. I can't wait to see what they play against the real field. Not real field. Canada is known to have put some talented guys in the league. Andrew Wiggins from Canada, Jamal Murray, we just talked about him. He's from Canada. They have some really viable talent coming out of Canada. They're not playing Angola. I mean, this was Canada, but I can. But that being said, I want to see them play against France. Want to see them play against Serbia, Slovenia, all these other countries out east, and see what the type of things that they can do, because they're showing that everybody's saying the world's catching up, the world's catching up. Like Jay Z said, if you made Jay Z, go ahead and make another one. I want to see. I want to see if Slovenia can make another Luka. I want to see if Serbia can make another Jokic. Let's see what's really going on. You know what I'm saying? But what I do know is Team USA is coming. Drop the mic.
All right, y'all. Thank you very much for being with us. On behalf of my man Darnell Kirkland Jr., my boy Hammer, who's not here with us, we'll be back next week. My name is Devon Wilson. Thank you for being with us today here on One Mic. We'll see you on the other side.